and welcome to episode 16 of the Music Crypt with Dan Montgomery. Dan, it's good to hear from you. It's been a while since we last did this. Our last episode we did was on the Munsters, the classic TV show. That's going to be going up next week, so people can finally get a chance to hear that. Today we're going to, being that Halloween's right around the corner, we thought it would be fun to kind of come up with our own list of top 10 like favorite characters and monsters from your favorite horror movies. So why don't we let you get started with your list, and then we'll go from there.
Alright. Well, I have to start off with the very first monster I ever saw as a kid.
Okay. Makes sense.
Wolfman.
Oh, wow. And
that was my first monster movie. My first monster I ever saw.
How old were you at the time, and like how scary was that to you?
It would have been like maybe 5th grade.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I bet that was really like, wow. What is that?
So I was kind of blown away. I had seen like movie posters and stuff like that, but I'd never actually seen the movies.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I got bitten by the horror bug by the Wolfman.
Wow. And
then I get to say my second favorite is Frankenstein.
Yeah. That's on both these are on my list. Yeah.
And then Dracula.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Because he's got to be in the top 5 of everybody's
Of
list.
course. Yeah.
And then I go a little newer. I really like Freddy Krueger.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm not really much on the remake of the Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But like the
Classic. Yeah.
the original.
Yeah.
The original Freddy Krueger.
Robert Englund. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Englund.
Yeah.
And then of course Chucky.
Of course. Yeah.
Chucky's an awesome little puppet.
Yeah. Doll, whatever.
But yeah, just a really cool series. And then Michael Myers.
Oh yeah, one of the originals. Yeah, that's another one. Like, and what I dig about like Michael Myers as well. You have the classic monsters you're mentioning, such as Dracula and Frankenstein. Michael Myers is very much like Chucky. What I like about these characters is they're not so much based on like classic characters. They're new creations.
Yeah. And then who else is in that? We have Jason Voorhees.
Of course. Yeah. Wow.
Or his mother. That's kind of, you could go a tie with that one, but of course Jason got the most screen time.
There you go. Yeah.
I've always been a big Pinhead and the Cenobites fan.
There you go.
Even when they got into when that doctor they had,
Yeah.
the second one, and he gets turned, I thought that was really freaking pretty badass.
Yeah, I was almost thinking about including like Norman Bates on mine, but then again, I don't know if you'd consider that like a really horror, but in a way, I guess you could. Yeah.
Psycho. I got the Leprechaun on there.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow.
And
Candyman. Yeah, you got an interesting you've got a lot of the same ones I've got now. Just kind of to break down my list. Interesting enough, at number 10, I got Chucky, because again, what I dig about Chucky is it's not based off it's somebody's new kind of it's a new horror character. You know what I mean? And when you think about the fact that it's based on like this evil, wicked doll come to life, I mean, to have that kind of imagination just to create a character like that, I mean, and then what's interesting, when I was looking up stuff about Chucky the other night on the Wikipedia, I mean, I've lost count of how many Chucky movies there are, so much to the point that even on the Wikipedia, it'll have a list of television shows, a list of films. You can click on these things, it'll tell you how many films there are, and I mean, that right there tells you, I mean, Chucky, I think, while it's a newer kind of, Chucky dates all the way back to 1988. It's a newer kind of one of these horror characters, but even in that short amount of time from 1988 to now, they've got, I bet, about at least 10 films. So that's pretty amazing, And then and number 9, I got Jaws. Now, Jaws, I don't know if you really think of that as horror monster or something, or a character, but I remember as a kid seeing that film in 1975 when it came out, and people were so terrified of, I don't know if you remember being in the theater, people were so terrified when the shark comes on the screen, and even the music did, the anticipation. So I'm like, I thought, okay, it's fair to kind of include Jaws here. That was my kind of take. And then number 8, I got Grandpa Monster, of course, from The Monsters, originally played by, of course, the late great Al Lewis. And I thought we got to include the Monsters here because they're kind of, let's be honest, they're a classic kind of TV show. And if you think about it, the monsters are based on like all those great Universal characters. I mean, Herman Munster's kind of a take on Frankenstein, modern day Frankenstein, but he's supposed to be goofy and funny, not so scary. And that's what I always, dug about the Munsters.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a cool show.
Yeah, and you and I were talking the other day, when I reached out to you about doing today's show, about, it's funny, the same day you watched Rob Zombie's Munsters on Netflix, I did too. I've been wanting to see it, and it took me a while to get into it. The parts of it I like, but it's first of all, it's a little different in that it's telling you the story of how Lily and Herman Munster met. So right away, there's no Eddie Munster. I felt that was missing, and then the grandpa looked very different from what we think of Grandpa. Al Luce didn't even have a mustache. This guy, I did kind of dig the scene where they're singing like. I Got You, Babe. I thought, okay, that's a little different, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, again, from a Munster, it's Herman Munster, because I dig the fact that Herman Munster is kind of a modern-day take on Frankenstein, but he's supposed to be this lovable goofball, whereas Frankenstein you're supposed to be horrified of,
Right.
And then at number 6, this is an interesting one. I got the Joker, and I'm talking about of course, the Joker from Batman. I'm talking specifically about if you've seen the Joker movie, because if you're at all a Batman fan, a fan of a Joker, any of these, Marvel, DC comics, I mean, if you've seen the Joker movie, I mean, I remember the first time I saw it, I loved it because I love all those characters and comic books, but this was a different type of thing. I mean, they kind of made the Joker where he's a psycho, really, in one part of the movie, I mean, he literally murders somebody when he's up on stage, and it's like, I remember being in the theater and people were like, wow, but it was such a different take that I thought, yeah, that could kind of be a horror film, and then also number 5 I got, also was on your list, Freddy Krueger. Now again, very much like Chucky, I mean, Freddy comes way before Chucky. Freddy comes like 4 years before, 1984, the first film. And what's interesting is I agree with you. Robert Englund, I think, has the best take on Freddy, partly because he's original. But the thing about a guy like we mentioned, the Munster. So like even like Fred Gwynn, I heard him talking about a lot how he felt he got typecast, and you could say the same thing maybe about Freddy Krueger. But at the same time, because Robert Englund is known for playing Freddy Krueger, he's kind of been able to have a long career in the sense that he often shows up at these, these autograph signings, dressed up as Freddy Krueger. So it's allowed him to have a career outside of, even doing the movies.
Right. And he did a couple of other really cool horror movies,
Oh, okay. I wasn't even aware of that. And then, number 4 I got, which I think is a real classic, King Kong. Now, that goes, of course, the original King Kong movie dates back to 1931. And, of course, if you've ever seen that, of course, it's in black and white. Before they had color movies, I mean, they were kind of just really getting into making some of the first movies. And if you go and watch the movie, it's kind of trippy. It's in black and white. But I remember seeing that movie as a kid for the first time, and I mean, the way, just the size of King Kong on the screen, I mean, it is terrifying as a kid. And I marveled at, like, even though we're kind of in the infancy of filmmaking, what a great film that still is all these years later,
Oh yeah, with the stop motion photography and the way they just did it really well.
Yeah. Correct.
And they told the story.
Yeah, I gotta correct myself. I think that actually the original King Kong came out in 1933. But yeah, and again, if you look at all the King Kong movies that have come out since, they've all been great. But I think you can never beat the original.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even some of the modern day King, like if you've seen Kong versus Godzilla, great film. But that King Kong, I mean, to me, it looks more robotic. It's great and it looks great. It's a fun movie, but it's just something totally different than the original King Kong.
Right.
And then number 3, I got The Wolfman 2. I mean, I think some of the best, horror films, Dan, are those classic Universal horror films, like Frankenstein, Dracula, The Wolfman, obviously. I mean, again, those are some of the earliest movies they ever made. And what I was reading about, like, Dracula was the very first one of those movies, and when they had a hit with Dracula, they thought, you know what? we need to. This is something I think people can get into, horror and monsters. And then when they saw the success they had with Dracula, next came, also the same year, 1931, Frankenstein. And so after those two films, they saw, oh, okay, this is, and that's one of the things that kind of Universal Pictures especially was known for. It specialized in, and they stopped doing these great horror flicks. I think it's a shame. They should really make some newer ones, I think.
Yeah. Well, something cool about those old movies, later when they finished up most of them, and they came back.
Yeah,
they did like Frankenstein versus Dracula.
Yeah.
And what I read about that is that was the studio's way of trying to get the last dollar they could out of the character.
Yeah,
right? But they turned out, at the time they were just movies to make money.
Yeah.
But now you look at them, they were some of the coolest movies they made.
They really were, and what's interesting is it's like any time you have success with something, you think you're good. I mean, even like if you go back to the music scene in the '90s, grunge started taking over. So all of a sudden, what was once popular, okay, all these bands that were once selling, we're going to drop all these bands from the label. We're going to sign nothing but grunge bands, and then you oversaturate the market with that, and then eventually people start to get sick of that,
Yeah.
And then very much like I did a show recently on the film Earthquake, and same type of thing. They had success with that movie Earthquake, and they thought, you know what? We're going to have a new genre of film. We're going to start making the disaster film.
Right.
And they did, and then they had like the Poseidon Adventure, the Towering Inferno, and they kind of, eventually kind of oversaturated that. And I think the next really great disaster film they did, of course, would have to have been Twister, and that was in the 90s. Yeah, but, I just think, why do you think, Dan, of these movies and these characters, do you have a favorite? Would you say probably because The Wolfman was your first one that exposed you, that'd probably have to be your favorite?
It started off, Wolfman was, it was my first and my favorite.
Yeah.
But as the years passed by, I didn't really like some of the retakes and remakes and other takes, of what a werewolf was.
Yeah.
And it's like Dracula, he was supposed to be scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
And they turned it into a freaking teen thing.
Yeah.
Out in the woods. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, and what's interesting? Like I was reading that some of these horror films, because they were so scary and stuff. Again going back like to Frankenstein and Dracula, were in 1931. They didn't even have they didn't even rate the films. They really had no standards, and because of some of the scenes in these movies, they said, okay, we got to start to rate the films or have some kind of censoring board. And like the infamous scene in Frankenstein, where the doctor says, "Now I know what it's like to be God." A lot of people heard that, oh my God, that's blasphemy. They can't say that. And in some versions of the film, they took that line out, and then I was reading when they originally released it on DVD for the very first time, they thought, okay, we're going to put that line back in. But it's amazing. Like you go back and you look at some of these films, the history, and you see how people used to react to stuff like that back in the day. I mean, back in the day when some of these films were made, you couldn't even say the word sex or make love. It had to kind of be implied. They had a thing about somebody couldn't even be naked on screen. Can you imagine? I mean, that shows you how the world has changed since then. Yeah. Yeah, and Dracula too. If you think about it, like Dracula, when you watch that movie from 1931, I mean, he's in most of the movie by himself, kind of just talking to the screen. I mean, but again, you got to realize, as they're making these films, these are some of the earliest films ever made. They're kind of just learning kind of how to do it as they go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and now you and I were talking again about the remake, Rob Zombie's version of the Munsters. I mean, why don't you share with us kind of your thoughts on that versus the classic TV show?
Well, expecting
a little more. Yeah.
I think I was expecting way more
Yeah.
than what they let him deliver.
Yeah, and see,
I've heard that he originally wanted to be more like the Monster TV show.
Yeah.
Wanted to shoot it in black and white, and they're telling him no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then why make the movie?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's kind of what I heard.
I remember way back. I was at a Rob Zombie concert, and he was still looking for a studio to release House with 1,000 Corpses.
Yeah.
And he said he could have released it, at a certain time, but they wanted it to do this, they wanted it to be that way, they wanted it to be this way, and he says, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, interesting.
And yet now, he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
maybe it's just, I'm sure there's a dump truck load of money for him in it, but I don't know. I don't really know.
I understand, like, you get hired to do something like that, and Universal, they're the ones that own the rights to it, and you got to kind of do the job they hire you to do. But when I first heard he was doing this, I thought, oh, he would be the perfect guy to do this. And I think, not just, this is a great example of this, but I think anytime you go and try to change a classic too much, you're messing with the classic. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Like recently, they have a new, they used to have this TV show, The Wonder Years. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with, with Fred Savage. Great classic TV show from back in the day. And then they want to go and let's reimagine it. What if Kevin Arnold was black? And I have nothing against black people. It's not a racial statement or anything. But what I did not like about that is you're messing with a classic. I heard they wanted to do the same thing like with the Golden Girls. They never did it. But what if the Golden Girls were black? My point is, there's a lot of what ifs, but that's not what it was for a lot of people. Even like I heard they have a Halloween movie, a Scooby-Doo Halloween cartoon coming out, and they decided, like, one of the classic characters, Velma, she's going to come out as a lesbian. Now, I have no problem with that, except for, again, that's one of these classic characters.
It's not right for a cartoon.
Create a new character if you want to do that, It's kind of ruining the classics, and I think Monsters is a great example of that. Like, they want to do it in color. It was all right. Color. I mean, it looked a lot better. It looked in the '90s. They tried to do a new TV version of the Monsters. That looked really hokey. This I was at least able to watch it. But like again, it didn't have an Eddie because this is before there was ever an Eddie Munster. It's how they met and got married. And then in this version, we're supposed to think that Herman Munster is some kind of rock god, and he's a superstar. I wasn't really buying that, Again, it's just because of what came before, or what my idea of the Munsters is. Now, Rob Zombie had a couple cool songs in there, but other than that, yeah, it kind of ruined it for me. And again, some of these classics, like you said, when they try to, while we're on the subject of Rob Zombie, what did you think of his remake of Halloween?
No, I liked the Halloween.
Yeah.
I liked both of them. I didn't really. Well, I guess I liked the first one more than the second one, but they were
decent.
Good.
They were decent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like a lot of people, Dan, like I said, we're doing this because Halloween's around the corner. Do you like watching this stuff, period, or do you really get into it around Halloween time?
I like it all the time.
Yeah.
But I try to in October anyway.
Yeah.
I try to watch at least 1 or 2 horror movies every day.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, what I'm going to pick up is I got a couple of these on DVD, but I seen at Target recently. I think just yesterday when I was there, you can get I think it's on one a collection for $19.99. You get 6 of the classic Universal horror films. I think you Dr. Jekyll, and that's cool to just kind of have. And you say, okay, I got a whole collection. I can watch this stuff. But a great film that I kind of rediscovered just recently that I watched for the first time in years was Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, that's a freaking hilarious movie.
Yeah, and what's funny about it is, okay, the title character Beetlejuice does not even come into the film until 25 minutes. Michael Keaton did not even come on the screen until like 25 minutes into the film. And because of that, this I really got a giggle at this. I mean, very first thing I noticed because of that was a very young Alec Baldwin in the film. Looks nothing like he does now. It was hysterical. And but that's a real fun movie because, again, it's not even really based on Halloween. It's just this crazy kind of character Beetlejuice. And what's funny is that Tim Burton, who directed, he also directed Michael Keaton in Batman the year before. And once Beetlejuice comes on the screen, very first thing I'm thinking when I'm watching this film for the very first time in years, man, how much Beetlejuice looks like the Joker. Yeah, and then it's funny when you do your homework on some of these class, like Beetlejuice. I was reading, Tim Burton. Get this, he originally wanted Sammy Davis Jr. to play the role of Beetlejuice, but the production company was against that. He also wanted to get. He was thinking maybe Sam Kinison, but Kinison's agent never told him about the offer. Can you believe that?
Wow, imagine that.
Yeah, so.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah, that's just crazy. And then, so I just thought this would be fun to kind of look back on some of our favorite horror movies. Now, do you have like what would you say is your all-time like of these characters? I guess we talked about today. Would you say the Wolfman's like your number one?
Probably my favorite horror movie. We didn't even mention because there wasn't really a horror character.
Yeah.
But that would be The Evil Dead.
Oh wow, yeah. That's a great one.
It's kind of just a really cool. I don't know. I've really always really liked Evil Dead. Even I'm not such a great fan on the remake of it, but it was still pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And what's it about that film specifically? I mean, is it like you said because it's not even like a central character, just kind of it's super spooky and.
Yeah, it's just the whole vibe of the. Well, the first one's more. How they did like 3, 4. I think they've done 3 movies with. I think they did 3 with them.
Okay, yeah.
But like in the first movie, it's more horror.
Yeah.
And then the second one, you got Bruce Campbell beating himself up in the kitchen with his own hand.
Yeah.
So you got horror and a lot of comedy mixed in. And then the same thing with the third one, I think that's probably the first movie I ever really watched and saw comedy and horror mixed together like that to the point where I was like, this is just crazy fun.
Yeah, and it amazes me is like, now we can watch these classic films like you've got them on DVD or anything in the comfort of your own home. But it used to be a thing back in the day, being able to go to the theater and seeing these films. Like, do you have a preference? Like if you go and see one of these horror films, like I'm sure you got many memories of seeing some of these things in the theater. Does it make a difference having like other people in the theater that are, getting terrified and screaming out loud?
I remember like going to see like Alien. In the theater, and then the alien pops out, and everybody just jumps.
Yeah.
Or what was another one I saw in the theater that made a difference? The first Phantasm movie.
Oh wow, yeah. And
because people are like, they're making all sorts of noises when you hear like the ball digging into the guy's forehead, and it's like it was just a really cool vibe.
You ever have experience of like taking a date out and like taking them to a scary movie and have them like terrified and jumping on your lap and that?
I had this is a funny story. I had been set up a blind date.
Wow.
And so me and my friend, I picked up my friend, and we're off to pick up my date.
Yeah.
And right after that, she's complaining.
Oh yeah.
And then she's got a leg cast on, so she can't really stretch her leg out. We're going to the movie anyway.
Yeah.
We go to the movie, and give me popcorn, give me this, give me that.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So I buy all this stuff, and then right at the very beginning, there's like, it's not even like, I think it was Friday the 13th movie I went.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And it wasn't even like Jason jumping out.
Yeah.
It was just like a cat or something stupid at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
And I got
Oh, wow.
And so I was just angry. She sat there and she's bitching the whole movie, and I'm just not even looking at her.
Not anymore, okay. Like that's kind of a test, like,
It was so funny.
that's kind of takes,
She bitched so bad. She goes, "You should just drop me off here." And I just, get out.
don't worry. Never again. Wow.
That was about the only time that there was that kind of situation.
I mean, match made in hell. I mean, right there, I guess, you being the horror fan you are, it's like, okay, not going to work here. Yeah. Wow. That's a great story. Now, around Halloween, you know, they say trick and treat. You ever like pull any like kind of tricks around Halloween on people, or like freak anybody out? Like have a skeleton
I
face?
used to, it must have been, it's been years ago.
Yeah.
I must have been in my 20s or so. And I'm dressed up. I've got a cape on so they can't really see me. I've got this devil mask on.
Oh wow.
And then I've got this great big huge bowl of candy
Yeah.
sitting in my lap.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting on the steps.
Yeah.
I'm not moving, I'm not making anything. And, people would walk by, their kids would come up, and they would say, just take one.
Yeah.
And,
Take the whole thing.
there's nobody coming up, and it's not even really dark yet.
Yeah.
And this kid is going around with his dad, and he doesn't want to go over and get any candy out. And he goes, just go over there and get some. He goes, well, I'm scared. He goes, don't worry, it's just a dummy. And I said, hey, what's your call it a dummy?
Oh,
and they both kind of freaked out.
That's great. And you know, Dan, before we wrap it up for today, I'm gonna tell you another thing I used to love to do, like as a kid around Halloween time. Of course, watch stuff like It's a Great Pumpkin. You know, Charlie Brown on TV. Great classic cartoon. But what I always loved about that, if you think about it, like around the holidays, like they have plenty of stuff for Christmas, stuff for Thanksgiving, but you never really saw anything like that. About Halloween, and that's why I always thought that was a great thing to watch around Halloween time. Yeah.
So everybody did it once in their life. What Kiss character did you pick yourself up for Halloween?
Oh, it's funny you asked that because I did a couple times as Gene Simmons. He's always been my favorite one of the four. And being a little bit of a Kiss fan as I know you are, Dan, I was curious while we're on the subject of Kiss. Can you believe they just last week was the 45th anniversary of Kiss Alive 2?
Crazy.
Yeah, and then you heard we're going to be coming out with a box set for Creatures, and that's going to be 40 years old.
Nice.
Yeah, so pretty good. So again, Dan Montgomery, great talking to you and catching up. I'm going to try to post this episode. We did maybe about 2 or 3 weeks from now, and then in 2 weeks I'll be reaching out to you again. We're going to be doing the next episode on the 50th anniversary of School Out by Alice Cooper, one of my all-time favorite rockers, and I know you love Alice too. So that'll be another fun episode. Take care, my friend. Bye bye.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, anytime.
Chaotic Riffs Magazine.